Hello, AfterBuzzers. We are going to be monkey dancing our way through this recap today and talking about the U-turn drama coming up on our after show. Stay with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Amazing Race After Show for Season 28, Episode 10, Monkey Dancin'. I'm your host, James Wallington, and with me tonight is...
Hey guys, it's Marie. We are short just today, but we have a lot to cover. This was a good episode.
I was really impressed with this episode,
I liked
for sure. So let's dive right into this recap. They're still in Indonesia. All the teams are waking up on a pirate ship, which I thought was really cool.
That was cool. I was like, oh my god, they slept on the ship.
And apparently Brody's snoring was a lot to handle, but...
Of course.
So teams started off this leg in Indonesia. At the start of the leg, teams took a boat and traveled to Gamat Bay on the island of Nusa Lembongan and had to dive to search for their clue inside one of 3 clue boxes near the corals on the ocean floor. Cool. On the way to this portion of the leg, Tyler and Corey already are discussing the U-turn and how they have it out for Brody and Kurt just because they seem to be the strongest contenders for anyone left in the race.
Of course.
Would you kind of agree with that?
I would agree. I mean, you don't want to be in the final 3 with those two because you see no matter how terrible they do, they seem to make up slack at roadblocks and just they can do everything fast and they're a strong team. So if you're smart, you got to get them out this round.
Agreed. And then we have Sherry and Cole talking about how they're the underdogs this race and that they're now in the top 5. And we've seen with previous seasons that the underdog usually creeps its way to the top 3. So I definitely have a lot of hopes for
I think they're going to be final 3, hopefully.
And then once the teams arrive to the bay, it's funny how a lot of them had difficulties trying to decipher what the clue was because they all expected, the laminated in the water.
It's one of those things where like you make it harder than it should be. They're thinking like, okay, we're looking for a laminated clue. It's always going to look exactly the same. And so many of them went and like opened up the box and were thinking, oh, this cylinder is just a weight. This isn't the clue. They're empty. Someone got them already. And even some of the teams had the clue like in their hands and kept looking for a clue. They're like, oh, this can't be it. Throw it on the boat. Like, go back. And you just want to, like, shake them and be like, it is that easy. Like, open the box. Whatever's in there, that's what you need.
Right. And apparently it was already frustrating enough for Dana because every time Matt would ask a question, she'd be like, I don't know. Stop asking me.
Yeah, she, like, hated him this way.
Dana keeping with her antics, for sure. After the teams finally figured out what the clue actually was, they were then taken on their high-speed boat to Mushroom Beach, and then they had to take one of the provided pickup taxis to Pura Pusas Stairway.
Yes. Can we talk about how they all jumped off the boat like with their sneakers on?
Yeah.
Like what?
I hate wet shoes.
But like I don't understand because you just snorkeled and you didn't have your sneakers on when you were snorkeling. So how hard is it to just like hold your shoes and then put them on when you get out? Because the last thing you want to do is have soaking wet socks and shoes for the entire rest of the leg.
True.
Like your feet are the most important thing in the race.
Unless at this point it's just like we're in the top 5. It's all or nothing
just
with the double
go.
U-turn at stake.
I guess
a
maybe.
Lot of pressure.
But speaking of that, how about when they were doing the snorkeling, Sherry was like, well, I was just snorkeling. Cole was going to go and get the clue. Like I was looking at the fish. She literally like had nothing to do with it.
And I love how she was like, oh, I snorkeled 20 years ago. And Cole's like, yeah, this is
never.
First time snorkeled.
I know. That was so cute.
Once teams got to the stairs, they had to get their sarongs. And my favorite little bit here was with Tyler. And he made that witty pun about, oh, it wasn't so wrong.
Oh,
it was
right.
So right.
They always have those little one-liners.
Keeping things entertaining for us this season. Once they got to the stairway, they had to find the dancer dressed as a monkey, but the monkey would,
like move
start
away from them, and then they're like chasing them up the stairs.
Well, I was thinking it kind of goes back to the camel question we had 2 weeks ago with like, did they restock the camels every time? Because what if that guy had so much energy for the first team and they ran all the way up, and then
by the time
after
the
a while
other ones
they
got
were
there,
slow.
he was like, here.
So they had like an interchangeable monkey dancer.
I feel like it was just one monkey dancer.
Yeah.
But that's another little way that I always look at, like, okay, well, if they want to make somebody like get stuck there for a while, the monkey could run around for 15 minutes and be a jerk and not give you your clue. Like,
unless like once it got to the top, it was like,
then you
here's
had
your
to.
Clue.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like every team got to the top.
It was kind of just a funny little thing for us to like see some of the culture and, take up a little bit of time instead of them just like grabbing a clue. So it was fine. I mean, whatever.
Right. Once teams got their clue at the top of the stairs from the monkey dancer, it was the clue for the detour this leg, which was a choice between haul or harvest. In haul, teams had to carry a total of 50 coconuts and 4 live chickens and walk across a congested suspension bridge to load the coconuts into a delivery truck and the chickens into baskets. Once all the teams had their stuff delivered, the vendor would give them their next clue. In harvest, teams had to propel a canoe through a marked course where they would collect enough seaweed to completely cover a tarp on the beach. Once they covered the tarp completely, the farmer would then give them their next clue. Which detour would you have done, Marie?
After watching it, seaweed is like way easier, it looks like. But I probably would have went for haul just because of how it sounds. Like, okay, we're just carrying stuff. As long as we don't get tired and we carry, like, we're okay. But this reminded me of one of our legs in Indonesia too, because we had to go to a market and we had to collect like all these different fruits and like the sugar cane sticks and everything. And the issue with that was like, how do you carry it? You know, we had these carts and like things were rolling off of them, and it basically was like the exact same thing here.
Right.
It was really kind of strategy with how you decided to transport these things. And the first thing I thought of is, why is no one putting them in their shirts? Like, you know, using your shirt to like pile the coconuts in. Or I was like, what about their sarongs that they had? Like, where are they? Normally you keep everything.
Like thinking outside of the box.
Right, like
for
why couldn't you take your
items.
sarong and make like a bag for everything? I mean, I don't know if that was like a rule or not, but that was the first thing that popped in my head. I mean,
it very well could have been a rule, because I feel like something like that mentality is something Bernie and Ashley would have come up with.
Right, like I couldn't believe that they didn't.
Yeah, so
there
maybe
must
it
have been
was a
rule.
rule that you have to transport by hand. Who knows? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I definitely would have done the haul portion of this detour, because I think my mind when I was watching it would have been, okay, how big is the tarp on the beach? You don't know how big this tarp is that you have to fill with seaweed. Whereas in haul, you are already told the number of coconuts you have to transport as well as the chicken. So at least you already have like a goal at
I hated the chicken
end.
thing though. Like, again, you're mean to animals.
But it was good entertainment with Dana.
I mean, it was. She was so cute with it. That's what I would have been doing. But I mean, her carrying the one at a time, like, you can't do that now. There's 5 teams left. You're not in the front. Pick up 2 chickens.
At least, you know, Sherry was pretty chill with the chicken.
Yeah,
she was like the chicken whisperer.
Yeah,
she's
because
good
she
with
loves
animals.
all animals. She's like, they knew to come to me, that I wasn't going to hurt them. And I was like, of course, they're so cute.
And then like talk to them the entire way on the bridge. Yeah, I loved this detour just because everyone went to the same one, so the stakes were a lot higher. Kind of like Tyler and Corey. I know Corey made a mention of the fact that, oh, every team is here. Now we know
where
we're
they
in
are.
first place,
Exactly.
which kind of gave them leverage when it did come to that U-turn decision to make. Which, let's talk about the U-turn, because I thought this was brilliant strategy. I was so excited about how all of this was executed. Tyler and Corey are the first team to the double U-turn, and they decide it would be most advantageous to U-turn Brody and Kurt. Just because Brody and Kurt always seem to come out from the bottom and come out on top, or they're just really good competitors in the race. So they U-turn Brody and Kurt. Brody and Kurt. On the way to the next portion of the leg, Corey's like, do we do the right thing? And then Tyler starts second guessing themselves. And then they start discussing, well, if someone goes there and U-turns us, then it kind of
Well, I was wondering
that.
too if maybe they had discussed this with Bernie and Ashley. We didn't see any of that before, but maybe they did have this conversation and they saw that Bernie and Ashley were in second and like knew this was going to happen, because U-turning Brody and Kurt really only works if somebody else comes in right after them and does that. U-turns, them just to burn the U-turn. Otherwise, there's a good chance they're going to catch up. Like you said, the other side of the detour, it wasn't that hard. They could have done it really quick. So this was like genius. Like, this is the way that you use the U-turn. Like, this is what is supposed to happen. You're not supposed to feel bad. You're supposed to try to knock out the strongest team. And it's smart. Like, thank God that's the order that they came in. Bernie and Ashley were smart. They're like, you know what? Let's make sure that we get rid of them, and we'll just burn this U-turn so that nobody else can use it.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Like, this is exactly how it's supposed to be done. I was like, finally, like a team, like all these teams are not idiots. Like, they did what they're supposed to do. I was happy to see that.
But now, like, if Matt and Dana had gotten there, they might have not even used it. Same with Sherry and Cole, because Sherry and Cole didn't even know what it was. They didn't even know how to read the U-turn.
Right, they had like no idea. They're like, oh, we don't see our picture, so let's go. Like, not even realizing that they were just saved.
Yeah.
But I don't
So it makes
know.
you think. I think Bernie and Ashley are the most strategic minded just because of their gaming nature with their gaming
no
channel.
one else would have like thought
they live
that
and
far
breathe
ahead.
gaming.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a good thing that they were the second team to the U-turn board, because I don't see
It couldn't have gone like
Matt
any
and
better.
Dana or Sherry and Cole using the U-turn.
No.
Only Brody and Kurt.
Yeah.
So.
But that's good. I mean, now they kind of, Bernie and Ashley have this thing where the other teams are like, oh my God, thank you so much. You know, you saved us. Like, you did that and you saved us. Like, yes, they did, but that wasn't for you guys. That was for them. Because if it comes to the final three, they think you suck and they want to be against you. They don't want to be against Kurt and Brody. You know? So, like, yeah, it's a nice thing that they saved them, but they only saved them because they're the easier competitors.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. Whatever. It worked out.
Going back to the live chat now that I finally have it up and going.
You have the internet?
Thank you everyone for tuning in to our after show today. We have 33 people watching live. That's really exciting. A few shout outs to Adam Millwood, Harrison Gavin, Chelsea M90, Anna Gelbert. Who else is in the live chat? Catherine Yao, Sunshaw, Stella Hedgehog 7, Soul Brother 69, Aaron Lune, just to name a few. And I also noticed a comment that was up at the top from Brad Roberts. He mentioned that Corey tweeted out that they were not allowed to use clothing to carry items in that detour, arms only. So thank you for answering that question for us. That definitely makes sense. So it was a rule after
Thank you.
all right. Moving forward, in this leg of the race, teams had to go to the roadblock where they had to ride a jet ski from Pandey Curly paddleboard shop to Blue Lagoon, where they had to climb a ladder to the top of a 4-story high cliff. Here they would be loosened up in a Pilates session with their lifeguard before jumping 40 feet to the sea below to get their next clue. While the first two teams, Bernie and Ashley and Tyler and Corey, show up, we see Brody and Kurt back at their detour of the seaweed. Did you think for a moment that Brody and Kurt might have caught up?
Well, because we know that Cole is afraid of heights, so they kind of have us thinking like, oh my God, like what if Cole gets there and he like has a hard time and like can't jump and is just standing there for 3 hours at the top of the cliff. So if that does happen, then of course Brody and Kurt can catch up, because like the seaweed thing, they went through it once. Like it wasn't that difficult. It was just like load up your boat with seaweed and then spread it out. And they got enough in the first try that they got through it pretty quickly. So I was like, oh my God, I was like, Cole's not going to jump. He's going to stand there and they're going to catch up. And this is how it's going to happen. Thank God it didn't. But even this roadblock itself, like it's very cool, but it's not hard.
It was very anticlimactic.
At this point in the race, I feel like the roadblock needs to be hard. Like, unless you're afraid of heights, this is just fun. Like, this is just an easy, okay, I'm going to take a boat to this place and I'm going to jump off this thing and now I get to go to the pit stop.
And you have to wait for the next person to do it. It wasn't like there was like more than one jumping station. Because
like,
let's say Cole couldn't jump.
Then someone else could have went ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, at this point in the game, I like to see build a plane and fly it yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Something that was like a little bit more difficult. So, you know, aside from if Cole had a meltdown, there's really no other way this could have gone, because one person can jump at a time. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to learn anything. When I saw the name of it, I thought they were going to be paddleboarding. And I was like, yes.
Well, it's probably what Sherry and Cole thought too, because Sherry was pretty adamant, like, oh, you just do this one.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so the name of where they were going was a little bit misleading there. I would have liked to see some paddleboarding.
I also loved the moment between Tyler and the lifeguard.
Oh my God.
And during the episode on Friday, Phil tweeted out during the episode to Corey and said something along the lines of, Corey, are you just jealous of Tyler because of the lifeguard or because he's actually doing the robot? So the whole bit between the lifeguard and Tyler was pretty
Tyler's
hysterical.
so funny. He's like me. Like everywhere they go, he like finds a cute guy and he's like, cute.
So funny. But yes, of course, you know, one by one, Tyler jumps in, Ashley jumps in, and then we have the other two teams, Matt and Dina, and Sherry and Cole show up. Cole, like, impressed. I mean, he didn't really take much hesitation, at least from what the editing showed. He just did it.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of helped that Matt and Dana were so close on his tail,
right,
because
like,
maybe he would have
to.
taken, yeah. So.
His arms.
I was waiting for it when I was like, when is Marie going to mention?
How? Oh my God, how?
And then, of course, Brody and Kurt still doing the detour. It looks like they weren't really close to catching up. What this portion, just it looks like the U-turn did work out into everyone's favor.
Yes.
After the roadblock teams had to take a boat to the shore and take a taxi to the next pit stop. we see, like, before we went live, we talked a lot about the editing, especially with Bernie and Ashley. They're kind of getting a Jay and Amy edit with, like, the second place storyline of, like, we're always in second, we're destined for a first. I don't know if any of our viewers have noticed that edit storyline. Maybe it's because it's projecting that they're going to win at the end.
I thought for sure that they were going to win this leg, because if they don't, then I'm like, okay, they 100% win the whole race. Like, why are they doing this? But like you mentioned before, maybe the editing is doing this to throw us off, because if you're a loyal viewer and you've been watching season after season, when you see this happening, you're like, okay, that's the team that wins. Right. So maybe they're just like messing with us a little bit so that, you know.
Throw us off track.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of like skimmed through this episode.
Wait, can we? All right, here's my thing. Let's go back to the roadblock for a second.
Okay.
Matt and Dana, did they have to do it that way, or did he decide that he was going to do the roadblock? Because I was thinking, why didn't she do it?
Yeah.
Because like, you don't know, what's coming next. Something could be really physical that obviously like he's going to be better at. This was just jump off a cliff. She's not scared of heights. Like, why didn't she do it?
The editing didn't really elaborate on that, because I was kind of confused. Because at this point, if you have done a certain amount of roadblocks, your teammate has to do it.
But they usually show that. They usually say, okay, you have to do it. But I didn't see that. So I was kind of curious as to like why they decided that he was going to do it. And I kind of think that might be an issue in the next legs, because what if he's done now?
Yeah.
And whatever it is, like, she has to do.
How many roadblocks do you have to do?
It depends. It's like 6.
It changes every season.
Yeah, I think because if there's more or there's double, but I think it's usually 6. And then the other, like, if someone's at 6, the other person has to do them.
I'm going to look at the roadblock totals because I know it's online. I just have to let the web page load.
I don't know, that made me like a little bit nervous, because I just figured, I was like, this is going to come back to bite them in the ass, because this was so easy and he did it, and now they're probably going to get to the next roadblock and the next leg, and it's going to be like, bam, Dana has to do it.
Right. Which will be great entertainment, because Dana's always having these meltdowns lately. Going back to our Bernie and Ashley discussion, Aaron Lune in the live chat says, I think the gamer angle just wasn't working out for them, so they had to fish for another angle for them, which is referencing the second place finishes every round. Catherine Yao says, I'm honestly afraid for Bernie and Ashley. The preview did not look good for them. Chelsea M90 says, Bernie and Ashley are going to pull a Kelsey and Joey, or they're not going to and place second, third, or fourth.
In the next leg, Bernie, Dana, Sherry, and Tyler have to do the roadblocks. Brad Roberts tells us.
Brad Roberts.
So yeah.
Interesting.
No.
Okay, so the placements for this leg were first place Tyler and Corey, with Bernie and Ashley right on their tail, and second. Third place Dana and Matt. Fourth place Sherry and Cole. I love how a lot of the legs this season have shown all the teams at the pit stop having banter with one another. And this time they were like, no, just get us out of here before Brody and Kurt show up. But I really like Brody and Kurt. And I think it speaks a lot of volume to who they are as people, that they didn't show defeat. They didn't roll over and die. They didn't blame
anything
on anyone. It was like, we still
like,
have to compete. And if the odds are in our favor, then great. But we know we went out fighting, and I think that they handled it like men, and they were very classy about it. They weren't rude about it. And I think that's just because they're competitors naturally.
And I mean, and Brody even said, he was like, I'm not happy about it that they U-turned us. He's like, but I don't take it personally. Like, I hate when you watch and some of the teams are like so upset that someone U-turned them. And I'm like, do you forget where you are and what you're doing and like what the end goal is here? They take it so personally. And I was glad that he didn't say, oh, we got eliminated because we got U-turned and this and that, whatever. Like, no, they did the best that they could, and they happened to come in last, and they didn't make any excuses or complain about anything or give up. So they were like, okay by me.
Right. Well, we say goodbye to Brody and Kurt, the Frisbee boys this season. I lost my first team from my fantasy draft. So let's talk about the fantasy team. So
what's
Team
the point?
Jazz. Oh, I didn't even update the points. My bad.
You're 210 right now.
Something like that.
You're 210.
Allie's been keeping track of the scores.
I have 79. Jess has 71.
I don't even know how that's possible. But I lost my first team from my fantasy draft, and all I have left is Tyler and Corey and Bernie and Ashley, and I feel really confident about both of those teams. Maybe a little worried for Bernie and Ashley going into the next leg, but I definitely feel solid with Tyler and Corey. I think those two they're a shoo-in for top 3. What about you and your team with Sherry and Cole?
Man. I don't, I've been saying all along that I think the final three is going to be Tyler and Corey, Matt and Dana, Sherry and Cole. But now that like we're seeing this whole second place thing and we're seeing so much more of Bernie and Ashley, I'm starting to think that they're going to be in the final three, which makes me nervous because that might mean that Sherry and Cole are going to go. Because,
or maybe Matt and Dana.
Or maybe Matt and Dana. Either one. I mean, there's such they both need to be in the final three. Like, we have the perfect every type of team here. Yeah. Like, I just can't see Bernie and Ashley being final three, but like I can.
I feel like, but Bernie and Ashley are kind of on the same page as Tyler and Corey, in my opinion. They are well liked.
Yeah.
They have a huge fan base rooting for them, so no one's like out to get either of those teams. They're like the lovable, rootable, we want to see them do well team. Then you have the kind of dysfunctional team in Matt and Dana, and I only say dysfunctional in the sense that Dana likes to yell and talk back to Matt. And then you have the underdog storyline of Sherry and Cole. So in my mind, one of the two teams, Bernie and Ashley or Tyler and Corey, have got to go, and I would put my monany on Bernie and Ashley to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Just to make a more well-rounded top three.
However, I mean, you don't know, like, Matt and Dana, it took a while for us to, like, she started getting that annoying edit.
Yeah.
In the middle, not right from the beginning. So, when you get a bad edit right from the beginning, it kind of starts to come full circle towards the end where, like, that person starts to grow on us and, like, we like their dysfunctional relationship and, oh, they're not that bad. But, like, there's not a lot of time left and that's not happening. If anything, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. They might go. Because I feel like to be in the final three, some people somewhere have to like you.
Yeah. To want you to win.
Right.
Yeah.
There has to be like a reason that we're rooting for them. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't found myself rooting for Matt and Dana.
No,
and
like,
nothing against them.
Nothing. I like them,
Just,
but like
I'm not like rooting like hardcore as I am maybe like Tyler and Corey or Sherry and Cole.
Sherry and Cole, just like they need to win.
I always root for the underdog. So someone in the chat said I'm being biased about how we love Sherry and Cole, but the underdog. You naturally root for the underdog,
right?
In your in everyday life and on reality TV, you want the underdog to do well. So I don't know. It's a tough. I mean, all four teams that are left, I'm thoroughly impressed with how competitive they've been this entire season. So I think that says a lot about who's left. All of them have never given up or shut down.
Now, do we 100% have two separate episodes left?
Yes.
So this isn't one of those like
there's one more episode, which makes me think it's either going to be a non-elimination and someone gets eliminated in the final city like they've done before, or someone's getting eliminated next week and then it's a grand all finale.
Okay, so the first option is what happened in my season. There was one episode, 4 teams, non-elimination, and then like 2-hour season finale with the four teams that go into it and someone gets knocked out right away.
Right.
Which I think is maybe what might happen here.
Yeah.
Because then Bernie and Ashley can win the next leg, but still go home and not make the final 3. And then we get like the resolution to the second place thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's that whole story. Okay, we finally got a first. And then something terrible happens and they don't even make the final 3. That would be great.
Let's talk about predictions, because the preview next week makes me think Bernie and Ashley are now the new Brody and Kurt. And what I mean by that is teams are going to start ganging up on Bernie and Ashley. It would be wise for Tyler and Corey to turn against them, in the sense that Bernie and Ashley have been on Tyler and Corey's tail
the whole time.
And
now they're their number
one
competition.
So if anyone's really
that's
going
left.
to steal the win from them, it's Bernie and Ashley. And we did see in the preview Bernie getting frustrated because it looked like Tyler and Corey and Matt and Dana were now teaming up to try to knock out Bernie and Ashley.
I mean, that is a smart thing to do at this point.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're gonna say bye to Bernie and Ashley. And the second place edit is just throwing us for a loop, just because they're never gonna get their first place, which could lead them to have a redemption for an all-star season. Right. That redemption of.
That's true.
I don't know.
Or they could get the first place next leg and then go the 4 of them into the final and then get eliminated.
Tough call.
Kind of like a first to worst type of thing, and then dunzo.
Anna Gelbert says, is the preview misleading us, though? Very well could be. We saw a few weeks ago at the camel racing, it looked like Brody and Kurt hurt their knee or their ankle, and they were just fine, just based on the editing of that preview. So And then Ginger Callum says they might do 4 teams final because they are popular internet personalities. I don't see them steering away from the top 3. I don't think they're going to do a final 4 racing to the finish line. It'll be a top 3. 4 teams is just too much to follow.
Well, no, it's not 4. It's that it's like a double. It's like a double episode.
What you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying 4 teams are in the final. I'm saying the last episode is like a double episode. Like we get a 2-hour season finale. In the first hour, the 4th team gets eliminated, and then the second hour is the final 3, which is what happened on my season. That's just why I'm thinking that, because then that gives Bernie and Ashley a chance to win a leg and then still just go home, like the Afghanimals did.
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible. I don't know. I really, like, I'm stumped. I feel like other times we've been so sure, like, who was definitely going home.
And then we're so wrong.
Yeah. So, but we're always wrong anyway. So who knows?
It'll be a pleasant surprise regardless of what happens. But at this point, if I had to predict the top 3, I would say Tyler and Corey, Matt and Dana, Sherry and Cole.
Yeah.
Now, who wins from that bunch?
Sherry and Cole.
I would hope Sherry and Cole.
But
just because I love the underdogs.
Tyler and
but
Corey.
Tyler and Corey are top contenders as well. Oh, gosh, I don't know. Now my gears are going. Like, anything can literally happen in the next 2 episodes. Question for Marie. Brittany McCullough. She says, question for Marie. I'm currently watching your season for the first time. How much of your persona on the show was just editing, and how much was just you doing what you had to do to win?
It depends how far in you are, but I mean, that's definitely me. If you're like halfway through the season, then yeah, I got a bad edit, but you know, they can't put anything out there that you didn't do. So, I mean, that's definitely me, but I'm not like that like all the time, obviously.
No.
I just didn't care. Like, you have to do what you have to do, and you know, we weren't like trying to make friends and alliances with people because we know that's just BS anyway. So, yeah, that's pretty accurate. But keep watching because I get nicer, or at least my edit gets better.
Good question, Brittany. All right, and then Scylla Hedgehog says, in the preview for next week, I think Phil mentioned the phrase, you are one of the 3 teams who will be racing to the finish line. That is true. That is a really good observation. He does say that. So someone probably is getting cut next week. No more non-eliminations. They've already done 3.
That's true.
So, All right, everyone. That wraps up our recap. Leave comments below and let us know who you think is going to win. Who are you rooting for? It's anyone's game at this point. Marie, where can they find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Reepsicle on all social media. And don't forget to thumbs up us, guys, all right?
Yes, give us a thumbs up. You can find me on Twitter at James Wallington, on Instagram at Where's Wallington, and of course my YouTube channel where you can follow me on all of my adventures at Where's Wallington. That's it. We'll see you guys next Monday,
week.
same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.